Hey guys, today's video is going to be about advice from Julie Kim, a professional college admissions counselor and an expert on the college admissions process. In this video, I'll be asking her 4 different questions about the college application process. These are questions that I got from an Instagram post where I asked you guys who follow me on Instagram to suggest some questions to ask. Without further ado, first I'll let Julie introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Julie Kim and I am a graduate of USC and Harvard, now guiding and mentoring high school students to get accepted into their dream Ivy League and top tier. Over the past 10 years, I've helped over 600 students get accepted into their dream Ivy League and top tier, and I thought that it would be such a great idea to collaborate with Jasmine to share some tricks and tips and strategies with you so that you are not feeling confused and overwhelmed and stressed out about your college admissions journey.
Cool. So the first question is, what is the most common error or flaw in applicants' essays that get them rejected?
So there are many, but I'm gonna list a few with you. So most of the time when it comes to writing essays, students are very much focused on how can I stand out? How can I make my essay creative? How can I make it unique? But that's really the wrong questions to ask. It's really not about how creative your essay is and how much of a unique aspect there is in your essay. Because ultimately, what college admission officers are looking for is what is your academic interest, what is your personal interest, and most importantly, what is your value in life, right? So if you do not have a central theme in your college essay, and you are just focusing on how can I make it better, how can I make it sound better, how can I make it more creative and unique, you're essentially missing the whole point of why you're writing the essays, right? So if you're trying to write to impress, then that's the flaw. If you are trying to write because you want to stand out without even addressing your personal interest, academic interest, and your value, that's a flaw. That's an error. So I would really advise you not to get caught up in how it will look, but focusing on what is it that I get to share with the colleges that demonstrates my values. Is it that I am empathetic? Is it that I am creative? Is it that I love asking questions and remaining curious? Is it that I want to make an impact? So pick one and go with that, and then you will come up with stories, anecdotes, imagery, metaphors, similes, or whatever you feel like you can use to really communicate your values clearly. If that's not done, it doesn't matter what kind of a creative, funny, sad story you have in your essay.
Question number 2, what are the most important things on a college application? Do colleges care more about sports, academic extracurriculars, grades, SAT scores, ACT scores, etc.?
So one thing to keep in mind is that every college and university is looking for something different. Not everyone wants to see hundreds of hours of volunteering. Not every school wants to see a lot of competitions. And so every school releases reports regarding this information. And so some schools will say, interview is really important to us, or they'll say GPA is really important to us, or they'll say extracurriculars is so important to us. So they'll state that on their annual report. But in terms of what is it that is really important is you can categorize it into 2 different ways. Section number 1, or category number 1, will be your academic factors, and then category number 2 is your non-academic factors. So if you are aiming for Ivy Leagues and top tier schools, then obviously your GPA, SAT and ACT scores, AP scores, SAT 2 subject scores are going to be important, right? Because you do want to stay within what they're looking for. So that's sort of the academic part. And with Ivy Leagues, honestly, they use GPA and SAT scores as a simple benchmark. It's like most students will apply with good grades and good SAT scores and ACT scores, but that's not to say that having a few B's is gonna prevent you from getting accepted into Harvard or USC or UMich, because I've helped so many of my students with the few B's get accepted, without competitions get accepted. So, but we do want to aim for the highest score possible. And then with the non-academic factors, what they're looking for is what is your value, right? So a lot of the time students focus on, oh, I did 500 hours of volunteering, I went to 3 summer camps. It doesn't matter if you cannot demonstrate what your value is and how you've created a storyline in your application, right? So we want to show that, this activity led me to another one, and another one, and another one. And that in itself creates a beautiful story. And within that, they can infer what your value is. Right, so that's basically what you want to go for. So if you are doing MUN and DEC and all of these things because you feel like it's going to look good, but it really does not strengthen your value, then you really want to rethink whether it would be a good choice or not.
Question 3 is, how can you stand out from other applicants?
I love this question. So 99% of my students work on what we call a passion project. And passion project is basically a project that you create that combines your academic interests, personal interests, and values all together. And so we have students publishing books, creating YouTube channels, just like Jasmine. We have students doing their own after-school programs, tennis, coaching programs. I also have a student doing a cooking channel. It just really depends on what is your interest and how can we combine that with your strength and value to create a passion project that we can actually show the college admission officers. You have to keep in mind that we're not doing this to get accepted. We're not doing this so that they can be like, wow, good job, and we're going to stop altogether. You're doing your passion project and working on it because that's something that excites you. That's something that you're passionate about, right? And so creating a passion project is the way that my students stand out. We show evidences. Some of my students get featured. Even if it's one passion project, we create many different tangible results to show to the colleges. And so that's how my students stand out. And so I would also encourage you to do the same.
The last question is, what can freshmen, sophomores, and juniors do to start preparing for college?
This question is a really big question, so let me unpack it a little bit. But in terms of what you should be doing, I don't really categorize it by freshman, sophomore, and junior. I categorize it by do you have your interest or not, right? So if you don't know what you're interested in or passionate about, that's what you should be working on, right? Because if you have that clarity, then you get to work on passion projects, you get to attend a few programs, you get to reach out to professors, you get to network with college admission officers. But if you don't know what you want to do, then you sort of feel stuck, right? And so as a freshman, sophomore, junior, you want to continue to ask yourself critical questions like, what is it that I can do for a really long time that I don't get sick of? What is it that I really like to do? What can I do to explore more about dentistry or surgery or law or comp-sci or artificial intelligence? And so that's what you should be doing. And those thoughts should be guiding you so that you can make the best decisions for your freshman, sophomore, and junior year. Now, sometimes when we talk about test prep, the strategy will also depend, but with test prep, if you are taking Algebra 2 and you know that you're going to wrap up that class this year, then you want to start studying for SATs when you're done with that. If you are taking pre-calculus and you want to take Math 2C that end of the year, so things like that. But in terms of what should I do right now as a freshman, sophomore, that does not exist, right? It's not about when you did it, it's more about how are you deepening and strengthening your application using your interest and your strength and your passion, right? And so that's what I would recommend. One thing that I also share with my students is that I have my students network with the college admission officers, email them, ask questions, get to know them, build a relationship, because that's really the only way for you to truly assess whether the school would be a good fit for you or not. And also maintaining a good relationship is an amazing way to just learn more about the school and meet them in person when you visit or when they visit your town, things like that. So I would really have you to think about, what is my academic interest, what is my personal interest, and what is my value, and use that to gain momentum for what you should be doing as a freshman, sophomore, or junior.
I hope you found this video helpful on your college app process, and thank you to Julie for answering our questions. I'll leave her links and website in the description below. I upload new videos every Monday. This is a bonus Friday video, and I post photos of my notes and bullet journal on my Instagram @studyquill. See you next time!